Oh, we meet again, citizens of Cubalon. My apologies for taking longer than usual. In fact, I should have uploaded this a few days ago, but I put a lot of thought into this, discarding and approving of different ideas, brainstorming different ways I could handle this while making it brief and entertaining, especially for returning viewers and even newcomers to the channel. So I've come up with a series of videos, starting with this one. Welcome to Barrel's Path to Everbloom, and this is Wisdom. This video is made under the assumption that you have played the game and read the manual chilling at the bottom left corner of your screen. If you haven't done that yet, please try the game out for yourself and then return to this video. The game's manual basically covers everything you need to know about the game's combat and mechanics, so there's really no need for me to read it out loud to you. This video will be segmented into acts of 3, and there will be timestamps in the description so you can freely skip to the part you want whenever you need to. I try to keep things simple and brief so anybody can pick it up, so hopefully you enjoy the 3 topics I have separated for you. I'll be going over things the manual doesn't cover. So without further ado, let's talk about weapons. Yes, I know the manual talks about weapons. It's literally right there. Oh, it doesn't. Well then, I suppose I'll have to cover them myself. For starters, I won't be giving you a deep dive about weapons and builds and stats and meta and blah 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 blah. That's a topic for another video. Instead, I will talk about their purpose and how they fit their respective playstyle. One of the reasons you may be getting your ass kicked is because you're probably playing your weapon wrong. So let's see what we're working with. If you're a fan of yapping sessions, then this part of the video is is tailored to you. Let's start with the bread and butter. Let's start with the bread and butter. Bro, let's start with the bread and butter. Let's start with the bread and butter of Everbloom. The base sword is versatile and delivers a well-balanced plate to your table. It is up there with the fastest and highest damage dealing weapons in the game, and it will never disappoint in that regard. Unfortunately, it lacks a little in range, but nothing too detrimental. The sword serves its purpose as a starter weapon, teaching you how to play and blending into any and every playstyle. It even remains as a strong choice for people that prefer to stick with it, regardless of the other options around it. To put it short, the sword is a balanced and versatile weapon, a jack of all trades, performing amazingly in most if not every situation while not particularly excelling at it. If you're the type to just pick something and let the wind guide your moves, the sword is the best suited for you. Moving to its slower but stronger counterpart, the Greatsword is no pushover, mostly, with the highest reach out of every weapon and the highest damage output. It balances out by also being the slowest. In a game dominated by fast weapons, you'd think Greatsword would get destroyed, and you're not wrong. Unless you apply a different philosophy to it. What makes Everbloom's combat so fun mostly is the ability of self-expression, choosing how you want to play with the tools that you have. The Greatsword is built for slower and patient players, opting for a more controlled and calmer approach to combat. The playstyle you're looking for is a more defensive one, focused on bait and punish. While faster weapons apply pressure with the consistency of attacks, the Greatsword applies pressure by overwhelming the opponent with bursts of power, opting to wait for an opportunity to strike and dropping everything it has to deal as much damage as possible before the window is closed. I say this because this weapon is slow as fuck. It can't afford to contest with faster weapons in the same way that they do with one another. That'll get your every move cancelled, and that is not good. The great thing about Greatsword is that its ability will guard break if blocked. Unlike other weapon skills, Greatsword will excel at catching opponents off guard and hopefully win the neutral game. So at the time of recording this video, hopefully the game isn't closed yet, so please abuse the Greatsword skill as much as you can because it's really good. To sum it all up, the Greatsword offers a calmer and patient approach to combat for players that thrive on punishing the opponent's mistakes with explosions of damage. If you're a more defensive player, this weapon should serve you well. Let's move on to the sword's nimble counterpart. Less damage but a longer reach, coupled with a faster attack speed. The Rapier's ability to poke and maintain a consistent pressure throughout the fight makes it one, if not the most formidable weapon in the fucking game, dominating every fight with their innate technique of keeping distance while still dealing damage. Don't get too cocky though, as just like any weapon, you can still be punished. No busted stats will keep you from getting cooked if you've made a small mistake. Rapier's approach to combat is more neutral, making it hard for opponents to take a stance and make proper judgment. The Rapier uses its speed and longer reach to wear the opponent down bit by bit as they slowly approach victory. Rapier's philosophy is all about endurance, providing an impenetrable defense disguised as a great offense. To put it simply, Rapier excels at neutral game, forcing the opponent to step back and reconsider their choices. If you like to poke your opponents with a toothpick and be a pain in my ass, this weapon might be the one for you. And finally, we arrive at the last two weapons, starting with the staff. And before we begin, let's make it clear that the staff is unfortunately not that good. With the worst stats in the game and an underwhelming skill, staff unfortunately falls short most of the time. But it does something interesting that highlights it amongst the rest, which may even prove it viable in some cases. Where the Greatsword introduces patience with bait and punish tactics, the staff expands upon that idea and makes it its own, creating a place of creativity where freestyling is the rule. The Greatsword is all about finding an opening to strike, while the staff is all about making an opening to strike. Holy peak! It doesn't do as much damage as the Greatsword, despite it being relative in speed, so I can't afford to wait. Instead, along with bait and punish, we are given the ability of mix-ups. With its strange weapon skill and uniquely great M2, the staff can break its way through the opponent's defense and earn damage, offering a more aggressive approach to combat as opposed to the Greatsword. With the right tools and proper plays, the staff can very well shine its way through the fight. If you enjoy mixing up your opponent and baiting them, this weapon shall dance along with you. Last and definitely not least, we have the Gauntlets. Single-handedly a threat altogether, the Gauntlets are no secret. It's all about throwing hands. With decent damage and the fastest swing speed in the game, it balances out by having the shortest reach out of all the weapons. Gauntlets are free. It's simple, really. Just like stay on their face. The more distance between you and the opponent, the less chances of doing damage you have. Fortunately, you don't have to go full aggro all the time. Staying back and letting them come to you is an option as well. Either way, you'd be on their face. The Gauntlets offer a fully aggressive style most of the time, with a few instances of defense to deliver a powerful weapon to wield. To make things even spicier, the Gauntlet's weapon skill can guard break for some fucking reason. It can also be used as an anti-air to counter aerial attacks for some fucking reason. Not much I can say here, it's literally that good, just like fuck Gauntlet, bro. In conclusion, the Gauntlet is a relentless weapon made for its hungriest of users. There's offhands and different magic types in the game as well as racial abilities, but I feel like they're not game changing enough to deserve its own spot in the video. With offhands, do whatever you think looks cool with your build. Same with races. The two magics feel like they serve different types of purposes. Flame being more PvE and exploration based, while water is more PvP, which could probably explain why water seems to be much better than flame in some instances. Regardless of their purposes, that alone isn't enough to stop them from being used in any build. So rest assured, aside from weapons, you can use anything you want. Yes, the manual already covers everything about focus, besides its usage in different situations. Focus is the most important mechanic in the game. It's this game's unique spin in the formula. So let me tell you about Focus Strike and the things you may or may not have noticed. Once again, please read the manual. There's no reason not to. Just take your time, read through it. Even if you don't understand, you'll understand once you play the game and fight. Come on, man. It doesn't take that long. Focus Strike can be the difference between life and death, winning or losing. So hopefully I can share some insight into how it works and when to use it. Focus Strike by itself has 3 different states it can be in, as well as a pseudo 4th one that I'm not sure if it counts, to be honest. This is when Focus Strike is used regularly. And then, yeah, that's it. There's nothing special. It's just regular Focus Strike. This is when Focus Strike is blocked. It will push back enemies back a good distance and shred enemy posture, leaving them close to guard break. This is when Focus Strike is used to armor through an attack. It will allow for a combo start where the enemy will be stunned for a brief moment. Counting everything together, we can be sure that nothing beats Focus Strike, besides another Focus Strike. It's kinda like a domain where the only way to beat a Focus Strike is to lay out one of your own, only in this case it's the one who reacts to it that wins. Using Focus Strike after the opponent uses it on you first will allow you to counter theirs and stun them for a brief moment. Keeping these in mind, all you have to do is know when to use Focus Strike. If it wasn't clear enough, you should always Focus Strike to counter the enemy Focus Strike, or at least block it, to avoid taking all the damage. That way you won't be vulnerable to a dangerous combo. Focus Strike is best used as a counter, since its base state will fling them too far away and automatically create neutral. Reminder that there aren't many uses of Focus Strike available to you. You only have so much focus bar before it goes away. You are given a total of 3 uses before you can become exhausted, so don't be abusing this. Unless you want to aura farm and win while exhausted. Otherwise, try your best to avoid exhaustion, please. Let's not forget that you will probably be using other focus abilities as well that will consume your bar. So use Focus Strike sparingly. Thankfully for us, you can gain focus back by connecting hits and doing damage. So the play here is to be mindful of your resources and use them appropriately so as to not mess you up. To summarize, Focus Strike is best used to armor through attacks and counter another Focus Strike. Be mindful of your gauges and avoid exhaustion. Never spam or play like a fucking ape.
Dude, I kind of feel like I shouldn't be sparing that much. It's too much fucks.
On the topic of mindfulness, let's talk about general tips you can implement in your gameplay to help you improve. Everyone has access to a running, aerial, and anti-air attack. Take advantage of these as much as you can. They can help you turn the tides in a fight. Running and aerial serve as your gap closers, while the uppercut can be used as a counter for other aerial attacks. You can also use it as a mix-up, since you'll be forcing the enemy into the air for a moment. Focus isn't the only bar you have to worry about. Mana and posture exist as well. Mana managing is much easier since it regens over time, unlike focus. Doing damage will also keep your bar up, so oftentimes you will have more mana resources than focus available. The goal is to avoid misfiring from being too low in mana, so you will find yourself doing is perfect casting. And there isn't much I can say to help you with that, to be honest. Perfect casting comes down to timing and muscle memory. When you get it right, it always happens. Perfect casting restores 5% of your mana upon doing it right, and it also adds 1% more damage to your moves. I suggest playing water if you want to train perfect casting, since doing so will grant you 2 recycle stacks instead of 1, instantly activating the recycle shield around you. Blue attacks won't guard break. Instead, they will only shred your posture. Yellow attacks are guaranteed guard breaks, but they can be perfect blocked. M2s get a white outline. I'm not sure what it means since they all guard break anyway, so there's a red outline too, mostly seen during one of Cyrus's moves, which will bypass anything. Your only option against red attacks is to dodge. So keeping this in mind, your best defensive options are perfect blocking and dodging, things that you just have to get used to as you practice and play the game. Just how you practice perfect casting, you have to do that with blocking and dodging as well. Perfect blocking is only possible against yellow attacks, so don't try to PB everything else. Dodging, however, can be done against anything in the game, even Focus Strike, which is amazing. Focus Guard is a safe alternative to PBing and dodging, pushing the enemy back on a successful parry. The issue is that it consumes bar, so only use it when you feel the need to. Otherwise, sticking to PB and dodging is the best play for posture management. In some instances, it's okay to focus dash in a fight. The speed can be quick to throw your opponents off, or you can use it to catch distant enemies and close the gap, ending neutral. Focus cancelling is also an ability you should always use, at least at the right times. There will be people that are just too good at reading your moves, so focus cancelling allows you to maintain unpredictability and help you mix up your opponent for a combo. Focus cancelling a guard break move is usually ideal, since people will be quick to perfect block it. Granted, they can still dodge, but they'd have to be even quicker to react to a focus cancel, so it's okay. Most people forget this exists, but if your opponent is too far away to catch, you can just use an air counter and apply a slowdown. This is the only thing in the game that can beat Focus Strike. There's also a cool tag you can do with Water Wisp that sends the enemy high enough into the air that you can air counter them. Regardless of your playstyle, you need to know how to keep your opponents pressured. Once they believe that things are out of control, it's wraps from there. Rapier can keep its distance with poke, which will pressure the opponent into thinking they can't close the gap. Greatsword can zone out with its long reach and use its dangerous moves to catch the enemy off guard. The overwhelming bursts of damage will pressure them into losing their focus. More offensive weapons like Gauntlet and Staff benefit from always pushing forward, never allowing room to breathe and always on the defense. Never allowing room to breathe and always on the offense. That alone should overwhelm a lot of people. And for sword, you can just do whatever, it doesn't matter. As a counter to pressure, neutral is here to give you a hand. The more room there is between you and the enemy, the more you have time to think. It's in neutral that you get to analyze the enemy and decide the best course of action. Decide how you want to handle the fight. There is no pressure if both parties are at a standstill. Rapier excels at this, since it can always zone out the opponent. Meanwhile, Gauntlet will greatly suffer from this, since they can't afford to make distance. Like, come on. Insane counterpick. And to end this video, let me give you some real life advice that will not only help you in Everbloom, but in anything, to be honest. Do not look at the health bar. Look at your enemy. The more you worry about your HP, the more vulnerable you become to lose it. Focus on the goal. Focus on your task. Fear is what makes you falter. Relax, enjoy the experience, and don't take it personally. If you keep losing, that's it. Don't push yourself so hard. Leave and do something else. Take a break. Come back later when you're ready again. In addition to this, take your time with the game. Be patient. Learn what you have to learn and do what you have to do. Don't rush in and thinking you can solo. You are not an egoist. Don't be discouraged by losses. And don't let wins get to your head. Stay humble. Learn from your L's and enjoy your W's. But never stick to just one. Keep playing and have fun. Enjoy. That's the rule. And yeah, that's all I have for today, gang. Yay! Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. It took me a while to put together. I kind of feel like it's going to be ass, but I mean, I tried. I have to upload, right? So I'm not really a true YouTuber if I don't have dog shit videos. So leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed my content and you want to see more. Leave a comment down below for future videos I could make and other games I could cover, since Everbloom is gonna close. Share to your friends so the channel can continue to grow, and I have an incentive to keep uploading. I need money. Next video in this series will be about enchants, but I'm not sure if the game will be open by then or if I'll have footage to do that shit. Shout out to Kermit and Funky Guy for creating a community server about me. Bro, what the hell? You guys are the ghosts for real, man. I really appreciate all the love. Thank you so much. The invite will be in the description. Join up if you want to hang out and stuff. If the server becomes big enough, I'll deem it as the official server for the channel. I'm just a little worried about moderation though. Hopefully my community is well behaved. But yeah, that's it. Beware and take care. Bye bye. Man, this shit was trash.